Welcome to How to Wish Come True. My name is Sondra Sneed. I'm a psychic medium. I refer to myself as a soul reader, source communicator, and Godscribe. This workshop is the product of a conversation that came with Source when I was lamenting recently that I had no motivation to get anything done. There was a lot that I wanted to get done, none of it that I felt motivated to complete. So when I took that to God and described my problem, God immediately replied with, "Make 3 wishes." Join me now as I present this program to my students, some of them who did the call-in program. If you want to download the printable PDF of this document, you don't have to put in your email address. Just go to godscribe.com/wish, and there'll be a download button to get this PDF. You get interested in this, then you will come back again and want to get your own private coaching with the source of infinite being that you will witness being utilized in this program. So without further ado, join me now for How to Wish Come True. All right, so make 3 wishes was number 1. Make 3 wishes at a time. 3 wishes are not only ancient magic, but are psychological organization of wants versus needs. All right, so now I'm going to go into source speaking and find out more about 3 wishes. So God, why 3 wishes? What is the purpose of it being the number 3? Well, in this case, and this isn't true in all cases, but in this case, when you're looking for a way to be motivated, moving forward, or heading in some kind of stride, progression, you have to have anchor points in order to lift off from your understanding. So understanding is that place underneath your feet. What you understand as far as where you are, even where you're headed, whether it's truth or fictitious, but it's your understanding. And in that state of your understanding, for most people, if their understanding is limited to past events, whether you've succeeded or failed, whether you've indoctrinated yourself with all of the information that is necessary or not, what is in that base understanding is usually what is causing a lack of motivation or momentum, because you don't know what your efforts are going to bring to you. So you're muddied in lack of information or lack of clarity. That understanding, not knowing that you're rooted where you stand because of your limited information, limited understanding, means you've got to reroute so that you aren't rooting in understanding, but instead rooting in movement, moving one foot forward after another. Understanding is a stand. Motivation and movement is forward steps. Forward steps are very simple to establish when you know what your wish is. To establish 3 wishes means that you are organizing the condition of the want. So wants are made up of 3 things. They're made up of something you need to do, something you are experienced in doing, and something you are yearning to do. These are the 3 conditions of want. Yearning can linger to a point that your understanding is made up of Swiss cheese. When you yearn in your mind with no momentum, it turns your understanding into Swiss cheese. There's no platform from which to lift off into momentum. So you want to eliminate all yearning. Yearning means I want, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get because I haven't done anything about it. So what is in the want then that is beneficial is only that which is right in front of you, that which is available to you. So let's say you yearn for a new car, yet you don't know anything about how to get a new car. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough resources. Whatever it is that you can't get a new car about, you've made up in your mind. You can't have it. Yet you yearn for it every time the old car shows up as being not enough. So there are two choices here. You either figure out how to get a new car or you stop yearning for it. And you find a new want, a want you can proceed forward on. So in making 3 wishes, you wish for something you're yearning for, but have no way to generate motivation on, then it's not really a wish at all. It's a yearn. So wishes and yearns need to be separated. The wish is always about what can be achieved in some time frame. Now, if your time frame is 3 years, then within that one wish, let's say a 3-year wish to get a new car, then you can establish within those 3 years the amount of money you need, the type of car you're going to get, how much a down payment is going to be, who's going to finance you. If you have terrible credit, then how are you going to reestablish your credit? These are conditions that can put a 3-year wish into the reality, from yearn to reality, if you give yourself a progressive amount of time. So wish for only those things that are acquirable and identify the needs in those wishes as a completely separate part of the wish, meaning it's not established when you make those 3 wishes. It's established later, and we'll show you in this map that we've presented here what that's about. All right, so does that mean you want me to go to number 2? Yes. Okay. Write each one down in a single sentence. Overcomplicating the wants is why wishes don't get answered. The head gets overwrought with so many conditions that it is impossible to finally know what the wishes are unless each is a command line instead of a list of conditions. Whittling the wish statement down to the apex of desire declares the ultimate wish that gets satisfied. I can hear you all saying, because I felt it at the same time, what is the apex of desire that declares the ultimate wish that gets satisfied? God says, well, the apex is that singular point from which everything else is amassed. So if the command line is at the apex of that desire, then you can build a map underneath all of that to establish what is the final wish come true. Has to come in layers. One sentence or a single sentence to identify the wish. For instance, I wish to write a book isn't enough to lay groundwork of any kind. It doesn't get you to the apex. I wish to write a book doesn't answer enough questions to the mind to move you forward. What has to be identified then is the apex of that desire. So certain questions, in other words, have to be asked of yourself before you can establish what that wish is, or in a single line. So I wish to write a book about would be helpful. Then you can start to identify the layers that will make that wish come true. So let me see what else. So how do we know when we've reached the apex of that desire? Well, when your sentence is clear, absolutely clear. I wish to write a book about love and relationships in a way that allows people who are single to find love. That is a specific condition of book writing. This is Sondra saying, I want to, at this point, God, is it okay if I open it up to some questions right now? Sure. Okay. All right. I'm going to, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Here, who should I call on? Let's see. I've got someone I know who is here in Medford, Oregon. Hey, T. I'm going to put you. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Let me just make sure you're loud enough so that everyone can hear you. Okay. So, have you tried to write any wishes yet on this, or do you have any ideas about what kind of wish you would wish?
Probably would be about relationships.
About what?
I'd probably write something about relationships.
Relationships.
Yeah.
You would want to wish. You'd want to wish something about relationships. Is that what you said?
Yes.
All right. So let me tune in and let God address that. So God, how would she identify the apex of desire around relationships? Well, the first condition in any wish is about what part of you is lacking. So what in your love, what in love is lacking?
Well, I had something a minute ago, but now I'm on the spot. I can't think. I would want a man to love me deeply.
So in that wish, then, is the desire to express deeply.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
Your command line then would be, I wish to know the deepest of me that loves and relates to another.
Good.
Okay? Whenever it comes to relationships, attempting to identify a wish in relationships, if you try to put a wish as in a spell on another person so that they love you deeply, for instance, or they do something that it's your wish is dependent on something that they do. That creates, unfortunately, a yearn. It doesn't give a motivating wish. So it's got to be something about you're willing to reveal in order to receive what you feel you're lacking or missing. Okay? So all that you wish from another, we want you to put down in a wish for you. To wish it for you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I'm going to mute you back. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to mute you back, and I'm going to grab someone else. Okay. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's talk to Bobby. Hi, Bobby. Bobby Stackman, are you there? Oh, no. Maybe she stepped away. Or she's muted. She's muted. Okay. There she is. Are you there?
Hi, Sondra.
Hi. Glad to see you.
Yes, long time no talk.
I know. So, my dear, would you have any questions about a wish or want to get clear on how to create an apex of desire for a wish?
I guess maybe get clearer on the apex of desire. As I'm sitting here listening, all I can think of is that what you've been talking about so far is really like what I would consider goals. Like you have goals in your life and you have to do things. You have to plan on things. If you want a certain, like I'm in the process of hopefully purchasing a home, I had to plan it. I had to, save money and do all these things. And so as I'm listening to this sounds more to me like how to achieve your goals.
Well, that's a really good point. And that's what I felt about it too. This sounded more like a productivity workshop the more I kind of got deeper into, rereading the 6 things that God had established for how to wish come true. So God, how would you address that to Bobby and the group here? How is this different than planning or goal setting? Well, it's very different from goal setting because goal setting identifies a particular parameter wherein you fulfill over and over again a list of to-dos. And that is certainly something we recommend in wishing and making a wish come true, that you get involved by identifying your steps along the way on to-do lists and progression. But the difference in creating a wish and creating parameters for goals is that a wish creates a magical system so that every step you move forward, the universe brings the path closer. It becomes a magnetized state. So all you're doing in performing is establishing the condition of your want. And then in that condition of your want, you're identifying what is the steps along the way. Goals are projections. They're projecting into the future something you're going to accomplish and get done. A wish, however, isn't necessarily made up of something you can just identify all the steps along the way. For instance, love and anything in relationships, that requires other people. You've got to dig deep into the magic of you first in order to identify what condition of you would draw that, make the magic of that, establish those aspects of love. Does that make sense, Bobby?
Yes, it makes sense. I'm still thinking it's very, very similar to goals, and I guess I'm thinking, wouldn't the universe also help you with those goals? Like when God says it's the wish is more magical. So then, how is it magical? Explain the magic, and does that mean it comes to you faster? Does that mean you get so much more push from the universe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your job in a wish fulfilled is to move in the direction of action. Sometimes you're moving in a direction of action that you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you're moving. That is different from goals. A goal knows what the action and outcome are to be. Goals aren't necessarily to be achieved in a certain timeline. However, there are certain timelines within goals that seem to be apparent, and a wish doesn't have that. The timeline is not a condition of the wish, because when God and it's not just God that works on your behalf in a wish. It can be your guides, it can be your soul group, any number of universal conditions of magic, for lack of better words, that can get involved in just knowing that you're committed. Once you establish your commitment to a forward action that is related to a wish, the universe conspires on your behalf, but not until. When you move in the direction of your wish, then steps are swung in your direction. They swing into your direction. We know it's a very fine line between the concept of goals and wishes. And we hope as we go through this list, maybe it'll be a little bit clearer, but we certainly appreciate your questions about it. We'll try to get a little more clear about that, Bobby. Okay, so I'm going to mute you and thank you. Let's see. So God, should we go to the next one? Well, we don't think we've established clearly enough the apex of desire. Because if it's confusing with regard to goals, the difference between a goal and an apex of desire, that means we haven't been clear about what the condition of the apex is. Okay, so I guess that means I need to look up the word apex. Those of you who've worked with me before, you know that I always keep a dictionary handy. Okay, apex, the top or highest part of something, especially one forming a point. The highest or top, especially when forming a point. So on a pyramid, for instance, that is the tip top. That's the point of the pyramid. And everything that's below that point then is what's built up the structure of the pyramid. So when you have a wish that has an apex, let's pick on someone else who might be able to help us with this definition. Eric Roth, are you there?
Yes. Hello, Sondra.
Hi, glad to have you. So do you think you might have a good way of describing the apex here as God's talking about it?
Well, I was thinking to myself when you were looking for a definition that the apex is the highest point of something, which is
Right?
similar to what you were saying. Could you repeat the question of me?
Sure. The question we're looking for here. So on number 2, and I know we got to get going faster. We'll be here all night. But when God says to write each one down in a single sentence, what we're trying to do is, in this, it says whittling the wish statement. Whittling the wish statement down to the apex of desire declares the ultimate wish that gets satisfied. So we're looking for ways of describing the apex of desire that might help people understand how to whittle their wish down to a single command line. I mean, you're a programmer. What's a command line?
A command line is a concise command, I guess. Something that is specific. It could be very terse, or it could have very specific parameters of a task to be accomplished.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. And God's going ding, 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 ding in my head. God says there are a specific number of instruments required to complete a command line. It's a specific number of instruments. So when that specific number has been achieved, the command can be initiated. That's how to think of the apex of desire. So in programming, for instance, you can't just tell a computer, tie your shoes. You have to tie your shoes down into a number of actions before it actually gets to tie the shoe. It has to pick up the shoelaces. It has to move them into a direction. And there's a whole host of other commands to complete that task. Well, in a single command line, all of the tasks to complete that single task is a finite number, specific. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So the apex of desire, I'm going to mute you back. Eric, thanks for your help.
Could I follow up on a question to what was just said?
Uh-huh.
So it sounded like what God was describing was like a procedure of steps that have to be followed.
Exactly.
But as a programmer, if I issue a command for a operating system or in a programming language, usually that is like saying, this is the task to be done, but these are the nuances with which to perform the task. Those nuances, to me, don't equate necessarily to the exact procedure. They seem to me like the nuances within the procedure has to be followed. There seems to be, to me, somewhat a distinction there between the nuances and the actual steps. Like tie your shoes in certain type of bow, rather than there are many ways you can tie your shoe, for example. And so, like, if I gave a command line to tie my shoes with various nuances to tying shoes, that to me isn't the exact same as a procedure of tying shoes.
Right, but a computer and this is important to make this distinction between the way that the universe works on your behalf in a wish and a computer works in programming. This is a very similar condition, because the universe takes command. It takes your commands. And if you are clear as to what you want the universe to do, as you move forward in that direction and then become magnetized to the condition of the wish, those nuances that would confuse a computer if it didn't have those programs within it. Those nuances do not confuse the universe. Those nuances are actually what the universe looks for in order to satisfy your needs and give you what you want. So, for instance, Sondra once was wishing for a new car. She could not find in her resources a way to have enough for a down payment that would give her a decent monthly payment. And she was wishing and trying, and then one day she flipped her car on the highway, and voila, what came out of that was a new car. Now, you may not wish to have your car flipped over on the highway in order to get a new car. However, the universe doesn't care how to get you what you wish for, so long as you move in the direction of it on your own. We will find a way to give you what you wish for, provided it is on a very simple command line. If you, and thank you, Eric, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you now. If you are wishing for something that has too many variables and conditions, in other words, then you block yourself out of the universe working on your behalf. You say, I want it this way, and I want it to have this, and then this, and this, and this. When you over-identify the wish and overcomplicate the wish, then you don't have your eyes open when the universe brings to you something that actually is satisfying a wish. And this is especially true when you're looking for love. If you've got in your mind a list of all of these conditions of what you want in a man or a woman, you will overlook the perfect one that the universe has put in front of you, because you're looking for what's in your understanding. Remember, we were talking about earlier how understanding can be so full of holes like Swiss cheese. Not only is it not strong enough for you to stand on, but it's not even firm enough for you to have a forward step to a jumping off point. So we think we made that a little bit clearer. Thank you for your help, all of you who helped us with that. We'd like to move to the next one, because in this one, that's when things start getting messy. Number 3 is keep a notebook of progress notes with 3 sections respectively. So a section for each wish. Progress notes are to-do lists in succession. They begin the beginning, they meet in the middle, and shore up the end. Every to-do list must contain single phrases with a verb as its first word. Make sure each phrase takes only one step to complete, or it needs to be broken out into separate items on the list in the sublist of to-dos. So one problem with to-do lists that force people to be either overwhelmed or undermotivated is that the to-do list is made up of many other to-do lists and takes too long to complete one, which is very hard on the individual to-dos. So, for example, I hope I had one near me. So, for example, make the bed. That is one command line to do. You don't have to break all that out. However, I'm sorry, they put something in my head and I can't tell. Mail contract for house. And then in that, you've still got to get a lot of research that is necessary to fulfill that contract. Well, those need to be broken out. The research needs to be broken out. So I want to open up the lines again. And we are talking about, hi, Robin.
I don't know if you can hear me. It says my microphone isn't working.
Uh-oh, well, I hear you.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay, so Robin, do you understand what they're asking here for to-do lists? That
Yes, I do. So I'm in the middle of doing some of this stuff, on my own, and so I'm kind of looking at it as, okay, I've already done this work, I've already made my wishes, and now where I'm getting stuck is like the to-do list. I'm probably not doing that right because I'm overwhelmed with the process of looking for a house, buying a house, and just I'm getting overwhelmed. So I need to do my steps.
the breakdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So God says one of the ways to identify where you're going to move is to position yourself in a bracket. So there's a financial bracket. When you put yourself in that bracket, then you can begin to eliminate all the unnecessary steps in where you look, right? So that is how to establish a to-do list. In the same way, you are bringing the parameters down to the specifics as they relate to what you are comfortable with. And we don't want to say what you can do and what you can't do, because you don't even know what you can do and can't do until you get into the middle of a negotiation. And then in that negotiation with the bank or the brokers or the real estate agents and so forth, that's when you can start to determine what you really can and cannot do. So whittling down your to-do list then is first to establish what are my parameters. So on that to-do list, it would be make a list of areas I want to live in or would like to look for houses in. Make a list of areas I would like to look for houses in. So that's one command line that is, although it may take you all day long to find those areas, once you've got those areas established, then the next to-do list is based in managing compatible housing costs. This is just an example of how to-do lists lead to more to-do lists, and they have to be very simple. So where are they getting complicated? The to-do lists, like what's the most overwhelmed?
Okay. Well, I feel like I have my areas. There are two different areas. I know basically what price range and stuff like that. It's just, I can't put myself, they're two different areas. I can't put myself mentally in a job in that area. I think I'm starting over. I just can't decide which one I want.
So the decision has to be made by the opportunity in those areas. So then,
and that's what I feel like. I am waiting for an opportunity. I'm looking for it. Am I in the right spot, just waiting, or do I need to make action? Do I need to take more action?
well, the wish would be then, I wish to find a job in blank area.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second wish would be, I wish to find a job in blank area. So
Okay.
those would be your apex of desire.
Great, because I'm there.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
And then from those two wishes, then what gets broken down is all the legwork or the footwork that's necessary to establish opportunities in each one of those. In other words, you can't wait for that opportunity because it's very specific to a location,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to go in and look for opportunity. So
Right.
the next to-do list is list potential opportunities in this area. And then the next to-do would have to be making contacts, establishing,
Right.
You may have to establish relationships, network
Okay.
within those areas as well. And that can be part of the to-do. Now, how to keep from overwhelm?
Mm-hmm.
Keep your to-do list small per day.
I agree. Okay, good.
Okay? Small per day.
Okay.
If they start to get too full, then what you're doing, which is fine, you're creating a dump list of all the things that have to be or will be done. It's just that you're going to pull from that dump list specifics on a daily basis.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to mute you now. Thanks, Robin. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that example. That was very
Okay.
helpful for all of us. Okay. Let's see, who else are we going to pick on? Do we pick on somebody else in this one or the next one? Next one. Okay. All right. So number 4, begin with I statements, such as I will, I have, I need, I want, I don't, I make, I do, I am, I maneuver, I match, etc. I statements are the acceptance of responsibility to making your wishes come true. When you truly identify what is yours to get done, you stop waiting for others to do what needs to be done. Use these statements in a journal format. Discuss with yourself what you are going to need, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, what you don't need. Let's see, discuss with yourself what you're going to make, not make, and then devise your to-do lists from those discussions. So essentially that's what we were talking about with Robin, is to identify in a discussion with yourself a picture of this wish coming true. I want, I need, I don't want, I don't need. But God, how is that different from what you said earlier when we put a bunch of conditions on something that makes it hard for the universe to bring to us what we wish for? That's a good question. How do you have that dialogue with yourself in a way that leaves a lot open while also giving you enough traction moving forward and moving into action? And the answer to that is that when you discuss what you want and what you don't want, you're only discussing it in the matter of how you see it today. For instance, if you said, in the past, I've dated a lot of tall men, and I have found that tall men are a real pain in the neck. So I don't want a tall man. That would be a condition that you would put on finding a man. If, however, you said, I don't want to always look up. I want to be able to see him eye to eye. I don't like that feeling of having to crane my neck all the time when I'm in a conversation. That leaves it open to, forgive me, God put this in my head and it cracked me up. It leaves it open to finding a man in a wheelchair, or to do things where you're sitting down together more. God says, we know this is a joke and that's funny, but we mean it earnestly, that there are always ways around conditions, provided they are not deal-breaking conditions, and that you identify in the conversation with yourself why you don't want or why you want, what it is in that want or what it is in that what you will do and what you won't do that's made that decision for you. Because then you're opening the picture up instead of closing it down based on limited understanding. So one of the things that Sondra got in a man that she never thought she would have in a man, and if she wrote it down, she wouldn't have found her man, is if she put down no jocks. No jocks. So we found her a jock because she didn't identify that. But the things that she did identify were conditions that we could broaden. So let's talk to someone now about that, about the conversation to have with yourself. Okay? Arizona, Gadsden, Arizona?
Oh, yeah, I'm from Arizona.
Hello, it's you.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay, so let's talk about the conversation that you would have with yourself about wishes.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. What question could we ask him? Well, the question we would ask you is, when you are creating wishes in your mind, when you are wishing for things, how does the wish fulfill you to think about it? When you think about the wish, how does it fulfill you? Is that a good question?
Good question. Fulfill me? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. It's fulfill me.
It's a good question, but it's hard to answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
How to?
Well, something came in my mind. It was my body, but I don't know. My spirit. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's try a different question then, maybe, God, because you know English is his second language, so maybe something might be easier for you to answer. Okay, so why don't you let us in on one of your wishes?
Why?
What is one of your wishes that we can talk about?
Okay. 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 One of my wishes is to meet my soulmate, or
Okay.
to grow, or to grow physically?
To grow physically?
Yeah.
Are those two different wishes?
Well, one of those wishes. I think to grow physically. Means a soulmate.
Meet your soulmate. Okay. All right. I'm just going to mute you here, and then we'll address that. And I may unmute you in a minute, but let me just mute you here. Okay. All right. So God says, we are excited that that's the wish you've asked for, because this is a perfect example of the yearning versus a wish that you can move forward on. So if you said I wish to meet my soulmate, if you said instead, I wish to be someone's love, I wish to be someone's love, then what you would do is create for yourself the steps within that to be someone's love. And the command line, or the apex of desire, then would be, I wish to be loving. I wish to be loving. Learning how to be loving is not easy to put in a to-do list, but it can be done. So here are some examples of how to speak to yourself in a dialogue so that you can come up with the to-do list in I wish to be loving. I have so many things I wish to share with someone. I love the way that I think about things, and I would love to talk to someone about what I think about. And I would love to hear how they think about things. And I'd love to share with them the way that they think about things and the way that I think about things. I love the things that people say when they talk about love, but I don't know that there really is the kind of love that would know me. There are things about me I'm scared to share with someone. I'm scared to share some of these things with them because they might reject me. And all these things that I'm scared to share about me, that they would reject about me, these are things maybe I don't like about me. Maybe I don't like these things about me, and that's why I'm afraid to share them with someone. Maybe I'm afraid to share things with someone because all the things that I've done in my life, I'm not as proud of as if I had done more with my life. If I had done more with my life, maybe someone would love me. Or maybe I would find that perfect person that would love me just the way I am. Maybe I just need to find someone who's going to love me just the way that I am. Maybe I just need to be more of what I am in order to draw that person. So these are the kinds of things to put in the journal, in that dialogue, in order to gain in a relationship with yourself, a relationship with someone else. Because when you relate to someone else and you aren't fully yourself, or you're afraid to be fully yourself, you can't draw to yourself the one you would call your soulmate. Now, we don't really like that term soulmate because it assumes that there's one person in this whole universe that is going to love you just the way you are because they're just like you. They two souls mated for each other. But unfortunately, that's just not how the soul incarnates. Souls incarnate from all over and from various locations, not only on the planet, but coordinates in the universe. And for two souls to coordinate in a way that they wind up meeting each other at exactly the right time that they're ready for a relationship, It's just impossible. So there is any number of any individuals who would be your perfect match. But what has to happen is a relationship with yourself. So the I wish to meet my soulmate would have the apex of desire in a single command line that says, I wish to be the kind of person that someone would love to love. I wish to love. Doing the to-do list is going to come out of the conversation that we just described. Now we're going to have to move on because we're seeing time is already passing. We have two more. We may just have to continue this conversation on Facebook chat or maybe even next week. All right, so number 5, do more with more doing. Whenever the psyche starts to see progress, it gets excited to see more. It is a necessity to work on tasks in one step. Oh, that's 2 different things there. It is a necessity to work on tasks in one step. Each step is on the to-do list. Begin then with the easiest task on the list all day long, meaning break everything down, every task into bite-sized portions in order to make it the easiest thing on the list all day long. God, can we address the I wish to be loving wish with an easy task? Well, the easy task in learning to be loving, you may find humorous, Sondra, but is very important to do. So on that list may be go and speak with one person today about nothing in particular. Generate a conversation with a total stranger. This stranger doesn't need to be male or female, doesn't need to be attractive or unattractive, doesn't need to be available or unavailable. What you're practicing here is conversation with a stranger. And you're practicing being your true, authentic self. Because the practice of being more yourself identifies the vibration for you as to what's going to be drawn to you. What is drawn to you is more of you being you. If you close yourself up in your room and play video games all day, obviously you're not going to build the kind of vibration around yourself that would draw and attract one you wish to love. So you have to, in your to-do begin the process of coming out, expressing, being in the moment, sharing with someone, a total stranger, these conditions you might have in common, and getting out of the fear of meeting strangers. Gary, that is in particular a message for you, but we recommend that for everyone. Do more with doing on the. Does anyone have a question about that? I think that one is relatively self-explanatory. So we're going to move on to the next one because this one is not self-explanatory. Deepen your lists with what gets you going. To-do lists deepen by the command line breakdown method. Command line breakdown method. But that can take more time to write and think than to simply do without thinking as you complete other tasks. Only get things done in the manner they are necessary, in other words, not as pure commands. Yeah, see, that one's very confusing. So command line breakdown. A command line provides a means of communication between a user and a computer that is solely based on text input and output. Is that what you wanted to come up with, God? Yes. So who's the computer here? The user and the computer. God says you are the computer. And we're also the user? Yes and no. The computer that you are is the process in which you perform a task. The computer you are is the process in which you perform the task. So let's say you do dishes in the sink, or you do dishes in the dishwasher. Two processes, one computer. You identify those processes to completing that task based on the parameters of either washing in the sink or in the dishwasher. All right, so what does that have to do with, so the true command line here is about the interface, how you interface with your computer, you as the computer in this case. When you identify yourself as receiving the command, and you notice how you process, then you will notice how to command in a to-do list. If you know yourself to get easily distracted when you are looking something up on a computer, you wind up reading your emails, or you wind up looking on Facebook, and you get distracted when all you went to your computer to do was to just get one bit of information. Then you need to make sure you have identified in a list that is conducive to your process. So the process would be look up this much information, spend no more than 5 minutes. That way you set the parameter of the command. Let's get some other, can we get some other examples, Scott? Because I feel a little confusion here, and I like it when people bring it. Sure. Okay. So let's see, who else? Let's try in New Mexico. Wait, I think I know who this is. Hello.
Hello, this is Kirsten.
Hi. Kirsten, so lovely to hear your voice. Okay, so God's presented another relatively confusing system here, and I wondered if you could help me with some questions, or even provide an example that God can help address about the command line breakdown method.
Well, my interpretation of what God said is similar to driving. Like if you are driving in a street and you need to turn, you can't make the turn until you actually get to the intersection. And so it's sort of like the instruction is to do what's in front of you in the moment. And then once that moment is passed, then you can look and see if there's what needs to be done next. So that you wouldn't follow an elaborate plan, but you just take action on what's in front of you in the moment.
Well said. Well said. Thank you for that. And that reminds me of a perfect quote I heard today. Action creates clarity. So if you're moving down the street, you don't even know that there's you wouldn't, unless you were moving down the street, you wouldn't even know if there was an option to turn or not. But then you'd have to make a choice. I don't think I made that example very good there. God says, well, while we have Kirsten on the line, we have a perfect question for you to help give clarity to everyone else. So Kirsten, what in a big picture, and we know you've got big picture wishes that could take you 3 years to actually fulfill. So that means you've got a lot of to-dos in the process of moving forward. How do you identify what's right in front of you with something so large?
I consistently look for a place of maximum potential. And I take kind of I know that seems vague, but if there's a choice that I need to make, or an opportunity that presents itself, like I run into a person who has influence on something that I care about, then I very much try to sort of just center in myself and use like my guidance, my intuition, or whatever that is, to sort of follow that course of action.
So you are taking advantage of an opportunity as it's come right in front of you, as if the opportunity itself is presenting the next step.
Correct.
And this is exactly what is the difference between wishes and goals. Because when the universe puts in front of you opportunities, and you recognize them as opportunities, whether you can fully act or fulfill what that opportunity is presenting right in the moment, you've got a piece of the puzzle that can give you immediate steps. And that's why we organize in this method. And I'm going to go ahead and mute you so you can make noise whenever you want. That's why we have organized here a way for individuals to see themselves as they move forward from opportunity and not blind themselves in a goal. Because if you know why, the how doesn't have to be specific. It may be specific in today, in getting things done and moving forward in that direction. But when new opportunities show up, it may completely change your process and give you a whole new set of parameters, a whole new set of to-dos. The dialogue to have with yourself in the wishes is significant to identifying opportunity for the next day or the next week or the next month. Gee, I was just thinking about that when I was thinking about my goals. I can't believe I've just met this person who happens to have exactly what I've been thinking about. That's not an accident. Now, when you're just fulfilling goals, sometimes those opportunities show up anyway. That's part of the magic of moving forward. But when you make it a wish instead of a goal, what you're opening up in the process is opportunity. And opportunity is always right in front of you, provided you maintain a very minimalist view of where you're going, staying with what's right in front of you. trying to project your wish too far out and not breaking it down is what is overwhelming. Breaking it down into what you can do that day, or what you can do within an hour, what you can do within 10 minutes. And it's surprising how much you can accomplish within 10 minutes of a direct focus if you know exactly what you can get done in those 10 minutes, and you stay focused and you've got it in a line. It's extraordinary what can get done. Some people can complete in 10 minutes what another person might take all day long in a distracted state. So we think we would like to now maybe open it up to a few questions. We're already 15 minutes later than I said we would be, but let's open it up to a few questions and see what we get. Just hit ** on your phone, and that should unmute you, and that'll let me know that you have a question. Oh, hi, Robin. Thank you so much. Robin says this has been so beneficial. Thank you so much. It's very beneficial to me, too. I mean, this is why I put this together. It was really as much for me. It's just more fun when you get more people involved. Anybody have any questions? Come on, Mary Myers. I'm sure you've got a question. Let me unmute you.
All right.
Hi, my dear.
Hey. My question is, how much of having a self or lack of self-worth helps with wishes?
How does the lack of self-worth maybe affect making wishes? Would
Yes.
that be a better way of phrasing that question?
Yes.
That's a good question. Okay. All right. So God says, self-worth is easily fluctuating when you don't take action. When you begin to take action on your to-do list, you immediately build your self-worth increment by increment. You identify what you're in control of. Self-worth lacks when you don't have enough movement. It lacks when you don't have enough movement. You're stuck in your thoughts, in other words. You're thinking about things that are not getting done, that won't get done, that feel like they'll never get done. That's the overwhelm. So this method that we're presenting for you, the Make 3 Wishes, provided you do it exactly the way that we are describing, and you start to move forward on these very actionable steps that you create in the to-do, you benefit each time from everything you do. Managing yourself doesn't require self-worth. It requires faith. Faith that you're a fully functioning human being, that there isn't anything working against you that isn't also working against other people, and somehow they've overcome it, or they haven't listened to the naysayers, they haven't listened to the criticisms. If they've listened to them, they've said, screw you, screw them, screw it all. I'm going to try it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. Now, that may last a day for you, Mary, because we know you're a very tender-hearted person, and that can very quickly fall into woe for you. So it's very important that you specifically move forward on one thing every other day. We would say every day, but you can work up to that. Build your to-do list and work on one thing every other day until you start to say, hey, I'm not so bad at this after all. And keep those to-dos very doable. Don't make them big and broad. And if there's if there's anything on it that says, but I can't do that until this gets done, put that thing that has to be done first on the to-do list. Well, I can't get that until this is done. Well, then put that first. But self-worth is built out of action. Action creates clarity. Yeah, there we go. Action creates clarity. Okay. All right. So who else would like to? You're welcome, Mary. And you're welcome, Eric. Thank you. Is there a role for affirmations in the process of wishing? No, because affirmations don't give you anything to do. They give you something to think. And affirmations don't create anything the minute you forget what you're affirming. Right? If you said to yourself, let's say you have backache, and you said, "Oh, it doesn't hurt that bad. It doesn't hurt that bad. I'll just take an Advil, and I'm sure that'll be fine. It doesn't hurt that bad." That is an affirmation that changes the condition of that backache because it reduces the effect, as opposed to, "My God, my back is killing me. Oh, such a drag. Oh my God, I'll never get better. My back is always hurting." You start going into that downward spiral of thoughts. The back hurts more, one, and two, it affects every other thought you try to bring into the mind. So it's better to, instead of affirming, to actually say the opposite of what's bothering you. If it's cold in the room, say, instead of, "Man, it's so cold in here. Oh my God, it's just freezing in here." Instead of saying that, "It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that cold. It's not that cold." The brain literally takes your command. It believes everything you think. So think only that which moves you in the direction of taking action. For instance, if you put on your to-do list something you don't want to do. One thing Sondra doesn't like to do is format a blog post on her blog, which is why we don't get to write on her website as often as she would like, because she just doesn't like to do it. If she keeps in her mind that she doesn't like to do it, "Oh, I hate that. I don't want to do it. Oh my God, it's such a drag. It's so boring. Oh my God, I'd rather do anything but that. I'd even rather do the dishes than do that." Then that builds up the pain of doing that one thing. If, however, she wrote down in a small list the to-dos of getting it done, she could find she could get it done within an hour. 1 hour out of a whole day to communicate to people who love to hear us through her, to overcome the one thing she doesn't like to do. Does that make sense? It's changed the way you are thinking about the thing you don't want to do. Turn it into something that the brain says, "It's not that bad. I'll get this done quickly. This will be over before I know it. This is easier than it looks. I know I overthink this all the time, so this time I'm not going to overthink it. This time I'm going to write down instead of think about it. This time, instead of letting it gnaw on me, I'm going to write the steps to take care of this now. Take care of this now. Okay. Affirming the opposite of the status quo was sort of what I had in mind. Okay. Yep. Then you can do that. It's just that affirming. Let me say that out loud. He said he was qualifying what he had said. Affirming the opposite of the status quo was sort of what I had in mind. And so our word instead of affirm is to program the mind to think in the direction of progress. Affirmations are attempting to give solace to a mind that is in some ways broken. Either broken because esteem has dropped off, or broken because something emotionally hurts. Something has hurt your feelings. Some way, something is broken. So affirming is trying to bring up to affirm that which has been squashed or mushed or smushed, so forth. I'm overthinking this. My mind is freaking out. It's kind of funny. Okay, Rudy. Yeah, overthinking is a big source of issue, which is why it's really important to get a notebook that has 3 dividers in it. A notebook that has college ruled dividers, and each one making a new wish. And those can change as you complete your goals, or as you complete the process and you get your wish. You can still use, if you haven't used up all your paper, you can just change it and make that division. And Rudy, what's really important for you, this is God talking, what's really important for you is that you have this dialogue with yourself, to really have a conversation with yourself about why you're doing things, why you want these things. Because a lot of times satisfying just your financial goals isn't enough to motivate you through the hard parts. In fact, financial wishes are never motivating without a why. Does anybody have any question about that? About financial?
Well, my first wish is definitely being financially secure.
Okay. I wish to be financially secure.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a perfect example. I'm going to mute you back now. God says this is a perfect example of a wish that is not in the apex of desire. Although it seems as if that's what one would wish for, and that's at the top, to be financially secure. But unfortunately, there's no such thing as financial security. There is no such thing. Because once you start making a decent living, you're spending more, unless you're socking it away. But if you had the habit of socking it away, you wouldn't be worried about financial security. You would already have that habit of putting it away. So the more beneficial wish, Mary, for you would be, I wish to earn a better living. So in that, then, has to be a whole host of conversations with yourself about what you're willing to do to make a better living. What kind of job you're willing to get, if not more than one job, so that you can start socking money away and saving money. There are other things on that to-do list that has to do with talking to a financial advisor, getting serious advice from people who know money and find out what are the conditions of that wish to move forward. Because the universe can't just say, boom, there, you're financially secure, and give you, the lottery. It just doesn't, wishes don't work like that. Wishes must be moving you in the direction first. You move you in the direction. You build the energy and vibration around you that is in the fulfillment of that wish, so that you become magnetized. Then opportunities start to show up. You take advantage of those opportunities, continually moving you forward. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, good. Yes. Yes. Okay, good. Does anyone else want to try? Oh, wait, God just said, we have one. God says, we have a question related to focus. Okay. Our question is, what does focus require of a person when they are making a wish? That is a good question. Let's see, who should I pick on to try to answer it? What does focus require of a person who is making a wish? Okay, I'm going to, this is another one in Phoenix, I think. Teresa, do you have an answer for that one? Question?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, the question was, God said, what does focus, God, what was it again? God says, what does focus require of you when making a wish?
Just paying attention.
Right.
Paying attention to your desire and your needs, and focusing on what you need to accomplish.
You're close. You're very close. But it's not quite that obvious. So
Okay.
I want you to go deeper and imagine yourself. You've got your notebook, you bought your notebook, and you know kind of what your 3 wishes are, but you haven't quite established the command line, the simple apex of desire. And you've got your pen poised on the notebook to begin the conversation with yourself. What is focus requiring of you to write down that first wish?
I have a challenge to have that kind of focus because I can easily get distracted with a flower, the cat, my life. And what I probably would have to do is completely tune out the world around me and go inward to find the deepest question.
Very good. Very good. Now, okay, we're going to mute you now. And we're going to reword it a little bit. Although Teresa said that beautifully, how we would word it is, what focus requires of you is to let go of everything outside of you, to go deep within you, to experience the wish from a joyful state. We don't mean being in a giddy, happy, excited state. we mean the joy of knowing the universe grants wishes. And the universe is always seeking to provide opportunities in order to fulfill a wish. And so often, humans are distracted by everything going on outside of them, that they spend so much of their time in their brain and not enough time in that central location of the self to really just be. And to be in that being means focusing on the being that loves a wish. If my wishes could come true, and I could make my wishes come true, this would be the wish I would wish. And I would wish upon this wish that every day I make it more true. So your wish might change slightly as you get deeper and closer to the truth. As we pointed out to Gary, who wants to find his soulmate, that there is a deeper wish inside him. And that deeper wish is to love. A wish to love. Getting to know that part of him in himself that loves is going to change everything about how he is with himself and with others. It's not easy to build a to-do list from that. That takes incredible courage. Goals are a whole different story because they don't take a lot of courage. They're based on things you know about yourself and what you can get done. Goals represent what you can get done. Wishes represent what is the process for fulfilling my own wish. And in that process, how much magic can I create when I draw the universe to me to help me? It's a communication with deeper parts of you, and who is listening inside you? God. All of your guides and soul group that are cheering you on as you go. We're going to end this transmission tonight, and we are so grateful you came, each and every one of you. And those of you who are listening later in the replay, thank you so much for taking the extra time to learn something valuable and beneficial, not only to your soul, but to the way you live your life and how you fulfill what is your greatest wish. Can't wait to see you again in the next time. And if you would like a private, personal coaching, we are available because Sondra is in town for a full month without travel. So there is plenty of room for readings. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you. This is Sondra saying thank you too. We hope to see you next time. Until then, goodbye everybody. Good night everyone. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night everyone.